What I always say is you can learn from the younger generation.
Establishing the common ground to build our relationship off of.
A two-way street with a person where you can help them and vice versa.
And honestly, they're not the sorts of people you want to be networking with anyway.
Networking has always got a place for everybody.
The owner came up to me and asked me with a dead face, "Are you just here for the free beers or do you actually want to network?" My name's Lewis. I'm 18 years old and I'm in my first year of university studying commerce. I'm from Melbourne, Australia, and I've got a passion for all things business and entrepreneurship.
Well, my name is Philip Lewis. My history is in banking, background at Barclays, spent over 40 years there doing a variety of roles, left about 7 years ago, supposed to retire but didn't. Very active now in the legal sector, helping mainly with mergers and acquisitions of law firms in the UK, also some bespoke recruitment.
What are your top 3 tips for effective networking?
My number one tip has probably got to be developing the ability to listen.
I suppose number one really is to focus on the right network for you.
It's applicable in almost all aspects of business and life.
Try and decide which event is going to be most suitable for your needs and requirements.
It's easy to fall into the trap of trying to talk about yourself and promote yourself and get the most out of it.
I think second tip is probably prepare as far as you can as well.
The second tip is going to be all about providing value.
Try and, if you can, establish who the other attendees are.
Then you got to consider the value of the person you're trying to connect with and the value of their time and how much an hour of their time is worth compared to yours.
And then try and talk to those people that you've identified could be helpful at the event.
Find a way to provide value to them and make that hour or two that you're picking their brain and getting value from them. You've got to make that worth their while in a way that's not financially related.
If you can find a two-way street with a person where you can help them and vice versa, that's always better.
A few ideas I've been tossing up are starting a podcast and interviewing them in that regard, or even starting writing a book as a collection of interviews from successful people in the industry.
And thirdly, probably most important one really is the follow-up.
The third ones might sound a bit generic, but I think it's one of the most important ones, and that's going to be to just be genuine.
A lot of people go to networking and quite a lot do not follow up properly or adequately.
If you're not genuine about who you are, what you've accomplished, you're going to get found out pretty quick. And if that happens, you run the risk of losing trust within the industry.
If you can follow up with the key people where there is potential for business between you, then that's really important.
Stay genuine to who you are, what you've achieved. And if people don't like that, then honestly, they're not the sorts of people you want to be networking with anyway.
What effective steps do you take after you've been to a networking event?
So my general strategy is to add them on LinkedIn as soon as I get home, or I'll identify 4 or 5 people, maybe 6 people who I really want to pursue a relationship with.
Trying to get some quality time with that person. Obviously, during COVID, you can't meet the person easily face to face, but you can have a Zoom conversation.
Try and reestablish that sense of value that I was talking about in my 3 tips.
Researching that person as far as you can. Look at their LinkedIn profile, look at their company website.
So I'll try and provide value through tagging them in articles or tagging them in opportunities that might pop up.
Do a little bit of research. If there's any people that you already know that know them through perhaps LinkedIn connections, probably a good idea to talk to them as well if you can.
Again, so they don't feel like that it's just a one-way street where I'm taking from them and they're getting nothing in return.
Just an old-fashioned phone call is good sometimes.
Over the next couple of days, I'll make a conscious effort to be especially active, post as much content as I can, comment on people's posts, and generally try and stay in the front of their minds.
So book that one-to-one with the key people that are appropriate to you.
Once I've done that, reestablished the connection, provided some value, then I find it much more natural to ask them for another catch-up.
And when you do that one-to-one, prepare for it.
What are the challenges and benefits of cross-generational networking for you?
So the first benefit that really stands out to me is the ability to broaden my understanding of business and what it takes to succeed in such a competitive and difficult industry.
What I always say is you can learn from the younger generation.
Given I entered the world of business during the digital revolution, I guess you could say, that's what my foundation is built upon: digital marketing and social media and so forth.
And my children and stepchildren often teach me things, even though I've been around a long time and have lots of knowledge, experience, and so on.
I'm not as strong in the more traditional methods of scaling a business before people could rely on digital channels.
Examples probably with IT, that's one of my weaknesses. If I want some help with some particular aspect of my computer, maybe a Microsoft program or Google or something that's too technical, my children or grandchildren will often know the answers better than I can, to be honest.
The second major benefit, which is a bit more general, as with all aspects of life, there are going to be lessons that are only learnt through time and experience. And I've always taken the perspective that if I can learn those lessons now without having to wait 20, 30 years and of making mistakes and then finally learning my lesson, if I can learn those lessons and implement what I learn into my day-to-day life now, then it's going to set me up much better for my future.
They're quicker at thinking, and they're sometimes better at the social media as well.
And one of the challenges that I tend to experience when trying to engage in cross-generational networking is establishing the common ground to build our relationship off of.
Networking has always got a place for everybody. Some people are more confident about it than others.
One of the ways I like to get over this little hurdle is by refraining from making my thoughts and opinions known in the short term, and wait until I have a strong understanding of their perspective and their position on the particular topic we might be talking about.
Perhaps give the younger generation more time, and don't underestimate them, because they've got a lot of value and limited experience, but knowledge.
And the other thing that I personally struggle with is being taken seriously when I walk into an event that generally has a few older people. I was just at an event a couple of nights ago, and the owner came up to me and asked me with a dead face, "Are you just here for the free beers, or do you actually want to network?"
For younger people, I think really having the confidence.
Being taken seriously is a genuine issue that I think a lot of people from Gen Z will face when they're going to their first few networking events. Once you can show some level of engagement, show some knowledge on the topics that people are talking about, and really put yourself out there, present yourself nicely, then that isn't too much of an issue to overcome.
And if you prepare well for the event, the networking event you attend, that will give you confidence.
Having a strong understanding of the psychology of this demographic and what makes them tick, what do they relate to, how can you get into their heads, that's going to be a really big point of value with the innovative and entrepreneurial mindset that a lot of Gen Z people have. That should set you up nicely to be able to relate and contribute to the conversations.
What does the future of networking look like to you?
For me, I think the future of networking is going to change.
The pandemic and lockdown has had a significant effect on the way networking has been conducted recently and how it will be conducted in the future.
People ask me which one I think is better. Do I think there's a future for online networking after we go back after COVID? I think there is opportunities for both.
I think it's a really big misconception that all of Gen Z only want to interact with people online or over social media. I think that's quite a dangerous perspective to have, because you'll actually find, as you talk to more and more people from the Gen Z demographic, you'll actually find that a lot of them do crave face-to-face interactions.
I think we're going to see a hybrid of different networking styles as we come out of the pandemic.
I don't know of anything more valuable than being able to go to a venue and network and meet people and contribute to conversations over some food and over some drinks in a casual business casual environment. I don't know of any method more effective than that.
Sometimes face-to-face does work better. I think especially when you're perhaps networking for the first time, meeting people for the first time, you build rapport and trust more quickly.
Whilst we do rely heavily on social media and digital communication, it's a great way to contact people quickly and efficiently. The quality of conversation and the quality of discourse that you have with people face to face is unbeatable.
Online networking can be more efficient use of your time. You don't have to travel between meetings.
Personally, I see a lot more of a reliance on online events, especially when trying to connect with people internationally.
It's quite interesting to see that new systems for networking, online systems have evolved over the last year. Some of those are going to have a place in the future. And I think we're going to see a combination of perhaps some event holders will do half of their events online and half of the events face-to-face. It's definitely a future for networking, but my feeling is we're going to see this hybrid of different networking styles.